Doing fades like these are super hard if you don't know these 3 steps. Before even touching the hair, you must first do a proper consultation. You have to make sure that both you and your client are on the same page. And regardless of what they ask for, you also have to do a proper analyzation of the head. Man, that's a pretty big word. I didn't know I could say that. But a proper analyzation of the head, that way you can see what their head shape is and what you're working with. Because sometimes a specific kind of haircut that they may be asking may not be something that you can actually do on them, of course, depending on the hair texture, the hair color, or the head shape. But I've been cutting this hair for a while, so I know exactly what to do, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Step 1, debulking. I'm going to be using number 4 on my clipper, and I'm just going to debulk everything. Even if the hair is already short, by debulking, I can ensure that I start off with a clean, clear canvas, and that way I'm going to be able to see exactly where to place my guidelines, and I'm going to know where I'm at within the fade at all times and not get lost. And of course, a simple way that I'm debulking is by laying the clipper flat and just sliding up and down, making sure that I go right off the head. Step 2, creating the guidelines. This is where analyzing the hair at the beginning was important, because by this point you should know exactly where you're going to be placing the guidelines to really make sure that the fade's going to contour to the head shape. So on him, I am going to begin right above the eyebrow. I'm going to be using that as a reference point to place my first initial guideline. And I'm going to make sure that I do this on both sides. Okay, now with this type of haircut that I'm doing on him, I'm going to go ahead and jump straight into the back and create the V shape. And now all we simply have to do is connect those 2 points together. And the way that I'm connecting those 2 points is by using the corner of the blade to really be able to create a curved shape dropping down towards the back. Otherwise, it would be a straight line, straight line, straight line, and it really wouldn't flow or contour with his head shape. And now that I have the line created, I'm going to go flip the trimmer over, lay it flat on the head, and I'm just going to slide up and down, going right up to that line. Notice how I'm not flipping out with my wrist. I'm literally laying the clipper flat, or the trimmer, excuse me. I'm laying it flat and just sliding up and down. Notice how I easily use my index finger to fold the ear down, really not overthinking it and trying to struggle with 2 hands and push the ear down and my hands in the way. No, by simply using the finger, I'm able to achieve the same thing a lot more efficient. And before I move to any other steps, I want to make sure everything below this line is as smooth as possible. Now with that done, we're ready for step 3. I have to make my 3 like this, because doing it like this, okay, maybe I can't do it. All right, step 3 is going to be to start creating sections. Now whenever I go to create my sections, I'm going to be using my clipper, but I'm going to have the lever all the way open, which means that the top blade is going to be extended away from the bottom blade. And if you guessed it, I'm going to go back in, laying the clipper flat but tilting inwards. And I'm just going to slide up and down, making sure that I stay consistent and parallel with the first initial guideline that I created. Meaning, wherever my first line starts to drop down and curve, that's exactly where I'm going to continue following my section, dropping down with it. Again, only using the corner of the blade to really be able to create that curved shape. But now with my section created, I'm going to use my clipper, but this time close to the lever, which means that the top blade and the bottom blade are going to be closer to each other. And I'm going to be able to lay the clipper flat once again, but this time, instead of keeping it flat, I'm going to be tilting out. Because right now, if I were to use the full blade like this again, then most likely I would end up taking the fade up higher than what I wanted. So by using the corner, I can control the fade placement. And I'm also making sure that I only work in small sections about a comb's width. Meaning I'm gonna fade out this section first, then I'm gonna move over a little bit and work in this section, and I'm gonna repeat the same thing until I get to the back by the occipital bone. That way, by focusing on one small little area, I'm not gonna be as overwhelmed. And now I'm gonna work my way up within that section. And every time I go up a little bit higher, I'm gonna be opening my lever about a 1/4 inch more. And you're gonna continue doing those same steps until your blade is gonna be all the way open, which essentially is what you began to create that guideline with. Now I just faded out this one small little comb's width section. Now I'm gonna move over to this next section and repeat the same steps all throughout the sides. And now that I went ahead and completely faded out the bottom section, I can now go ahead and begin with my next section right along this area, but this time using a number 1 guard on my clipper with the lever still all the way open. Again, laying it flat, tilting in, and just sliding up and down. Making sure that I don't round into the head. I'm just gonna make sure that I go right off the head. That's really gonna start helping me create that nice square shape that I'm looking for. Otherwise, if I actually went in and rounded off with the head shape, this area would look super round and it would throw everything off. But now that I created this section with my number 1, I want you to notice how this front part is looking a lot lighter than this back part. So what that lets me know now is that I'm not really going to be focusing too much time on this front temple area. My main focus is going to be right behind the ear, right where the indentions begin, and right where the hair gets more coarse and dense. So now with my lever all the way closed, I'm going to go ahead and still using the corner of the clipper, digging in right behind the ear and spreading out my blend a little bit more. So back in this area, I'm going to be going a lot higher with my number 1 with the lever all the way closed. Okay, which the number 1 with the lever closed didn't really do that much of a difference anymore. So that lets me know that it's time to use a half guard with the lever all the way closed. And again, I can begin at the very bottom, digging in, not going up as high, staying right along that dark line. And you can tell how this temple area is already looking pretty nice and blurry, versus this back part is still looking super dark. So again, with my lever all the way closed, digging in with my half guard, I'm going to be spreading out the blend a little bit more. And again, by spreading out the blend, I mean using a smaller guard and using longer strokes, really going higher within that same section to make it appear lighter. All right, now that half guard cut everything that it was able to do. So that lets me know it's time to switch it to my clipper again, but this time with the lever all the way open. Now the reason why I switched clippers is because this clipper has a slower motor, which means I can really work a lot slower as well. And now by doing a little bit of lever play, you can see how this bottom line is faded out and how much lighter this back area got and how it blends in with the rest of the section along the sides. So for right now, we can leave it like that. We'll detail at the end. Because now it's time for my next and final section, which is going to be done with the number 2 with the lever all the way open. Because if you recall, we used the number 3 right in this area to begin debulking. So the number 2 should easily be able to connect this bottom part into the number 3. And once I have his beard done as well, I'm gonna go back in detail and then we'll see the final look. All right, now just like that, by following those simple steps, you're able to simplify the process of doing fades like these. I really hope that this helped you out a lot more. I hope that you feel a lot more confident doing a fade like this. And for future tutorials such as the beard and how to cut and style the top, be on the lookout for that, because I am going to be dropping more tutorials like this on a maybe daily basis. Nah, I'm not going to even lie to you. Maybe on a weekly basis, maybe on a weekly basis. I'll be dropping tutorials just for you, not daily. Oh, I ain't going to lie, but weekly basis, be on the lookout.